Imagine this. You've just added a couple of sleek, black-feathered hens to your flock. They strut around the yard looking sharp. And then, supposedly, every hawk in the sky looks down and says, "Nope, those are crows. Better steer clear." Sounds magical, right? Like a feathered security system you can buy in bulk. Well, as much as I wish it were true, that's not how nature works. Today on Farm Fights, we're tackling one of the most popular and persistent myths in the chicken world. Do black chickens keep hawks and eagles away? Spoiler alert, the answer is no. So, welcome back to Andersen Acres. This is Farm Fights, the monthly podcast where we dive into the most heated debates in the hobby farming world. I'm Leanne, and today's topic is one I see come up constantly in backyard chicken groups. Someone posts about losing a hen to a hawk, and immediately someone else says, "Get yourself some black chickens. Hawks won't touch them." And suddenly everyone's fighting in the comments. So let's settle this once and for all. The myth actually has its roots in something real. Hawks do sometimes avoid large flocks of black birds. Not chickens, but crows. Crows are known for ganging up on raptors. It's called mobbing. It's noisy, chaotic, and extremely effective. A group of crows will harass a hawk or even an eagle until it gives up and moves on. But here's the important part. Mobbing works because of numbers and aggression, not because of color. A hawk isn't scared of the color black. It's responding to an entire angry neighborhood watch in the sky. And guess what? A lone black chicken standing in the middle of your yard doesn't look like a mob. To a hawk, it looks like lunch, just dressed in darker feathers. Hawks and eagles are incredible hunters. They're not out there flipping through a fashion catalog deciding what color bird they're in the mood for. They're watching for movement, for stragglers, for opportunities. They key in on size, isolation, and vulnerability. A hen that wanders too far from cover is an easy target, whether she's white or buff or barred or, yes, even black. Raptors have some of the sharpest eyesight in the animal kingdom. They see motion and detail that we can't even imagine. But there's no scientific evidence that a black chicken is visible or intimidating to them. If anything, the only advantage that the black plumage might have is blending into shadows better on the ground. That's camouflage, not intimidation. And trust me, if a hawk really wants her, he's going to find her. Now, in most of North America, the main culprits for daytime chicken losses are copper hawks or red-tailed hawks, sometimes northern goosehawks if you're in a wooded area. You could add the great horned owl to the list if you're free-ranging at dusk or leaving birds out at night. These predators are skilled and opportunistic, and they adapt to whatever food source is available. And if you're raising chickens, well, that's a buffet. That's why the color of your hens isn't the deciding factor. It's the setup of your run, the availability of cover, and the vigilance of the flock that matters. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about the legal side of things. Because sometimes the things you think you should do to protect your birds from hawks are flirting with the law. And I will never encourage someone to break their local laws, mostly because that's how you get in trouble, and I don't want to be the reason you get in trouble. So let's talk about some of the laws surrounding raptors. In the United States, all hawks and owls are federally protected. You can't shoot them, you can't trap them, and you can't so much as keep a feather you find without running afoul of federal law. In Canada, the specifics vary a little bit province to province, but the story is much the same. Raptors are protected, and harming them, their nests, or their eggs is the fastest way to get yourself in legal trouble. That means we have to approach predator control the right way. Non-lethal methods, exclusion, and smart management. If your solution involves harming a hawk, then it's the wrong solution that could get you in trouble. So, if black chickens aren't the answer and lethal solutions are illegal, what is going to protect your flock? The gold standard, hands down, is covering your run. I know that sounds a little hypocritical considering we free range, and during this video you've seen multiple birds just wander around. But if you want to protect them from hawks, the first thing you can do relatively quickly is to secure your run. Hardware cloth, welded wire, or heavy-duty bird netting stretched overhead of the run will do more for your flock's safety than any color hen could ever do. If you've got a bigger yard, you can crisscross wires, so you can put up like fishing line around your yard, like stretch from tree to tree overhead, kind of make a crisscross over your head. And that crisscross, you can use monofilament line. It breaks up the sky and makes it harder for the hawks to dive in and gives you an extra layer of protection. You can give your chickens places to hide. Think shrubs or lean-tos or little A-frame shelters. Make them frequent and plentiful. That way, if a hawk does swoop down, the hens have somewhere to dash for safety. Now, supervised free ranging is another option. Let them roam when you're there, but lock them up during peak hunting times. We notoriously don't lock anybody up. They're just wandering willy-nilly. But locking them up is a viable option. You want to lock them up at peak hunting times like early morning, late afternoon. Those are the hawk rushes. Remove convenient perches where hawks can sit and scout. So don't offer somewhere for that hawk to sit and survey your tasty, snackable chickens. And yes, you can try scare tape and streamers and decoys, but those are temporary fixes at best. Hawks are smart, okay? They will figure out that that owl is not real. Yes, owls deter hawks. A temporary pretend owl can work for a little while. It's not a permanent solution, but it'll buy you some time to get a permanent solution in place. So try it out anyway. But hawks are smart enough to figure out quickly what's real and what isn't. So don't rely on tricking them as an extended solution to the problem. It'll work temporarily. Then they'll figure it out. So I'm going to talk about now what we do to keep our birds safe, despite that we free range. We free range all the time. We don't lock anybody up, even at night, and we don't have a cover on our pen. So why aren't they all snacks for the hawks? We also live pretty darn close to a bald eagle nesting ground, and we have hawks and falcons a lot. Why then have we not lost a bird? That's a good question. I'm going to answer it, because this is one that doesn't get talked about nearly enough when it comes to predators. Livestock guardian dogs. A well-trained guardian dog isn't just a deterrent for foxes or coyotes. Their presence alone makes hawks and eagles and falcons think twice. Our Great Pyrenees, Tequila and Vodka, are fantastic at this particular job. They patrol, they watch the sky, and they bark at anything that they don't like the look of. If it looks like it shouldn't be here, they're barking at it and chasing it off as fast as they humanly can, or doggily can, since they are not human. And believe me, hawks and eagles don't like the look of big dogs weighing more than 100 pounds, bright white, so they are very obviously visible, charging around the yard. They also don't love the look of Shadowfax, who's also big and white and charges around the yard. Not because he's deterring hawks, but because that's just what he does. So they don't really like these big animals running around the yard, especially when the dogs are barking. It makes them nervous. It's not foolproof, but it is an effective layer of protection. Okay, we don't cover our run, but with Tequila and Vodka on duty, the hawks and eagles keep their distance. So if you have the ability to have livestock guardian dogs, they will help deter aerial predators. Again, they're not foolproof because no one's perfect, not even your precious dogs. but it is better than not having them at all. And we haven't lost anybody to an aerial predator since the dogs grew up, since the dogs finished maturing. So it's definitely worthy of consideration. If you live in an area where you're plagued by predators a lot, consider some livestock guardian dogs. Now, let's run through a couple of questions that I do hear frequently. Number one, I swear my black hens never get taken. Isn't that proof enough? Nope. That's perception bias. Maybe your black hens just stick closer to cover, or maybe you've simply been lucky. Hawks do not discriminate based on feather color. Okay? They do not. So it's either luck or it's that your darker hens just happen to be taking shelter better than your others. Okay? Number two. But hawks avoid crows. So wouldn't a black chicken count? Remember that hawks and eagles and falcons avoid groups of crows, not single birds. And hawks do prey on crows when they can. So one chicken in black feathers isn't fooling anybody. Okay? The third question I often get, should I cover my run? It looks ugly. Look, if you have a problem with predators, with hawks and eagles specifically, I get that it's ugly to cover your run. But frankly, it beats losing birds every single time to your aerial predators. And there are tidy net options that aren't too visible. So you can get the black netting that you stretch really taut, and it's difficult to see anyway. So maybe think about getting something like that. But there are ways you can do it that are not as noticeable. But you should do something. You can't just let your birds constantly get eaten. You either have to lock them up, cover their roaming space, get dogs. You got to do something. Okay? Function matters more than aesthetics. And finally, the fourth question I get all the time. Can geese or roosters protect against hawks? They can act as alarms. Okay? Geese and your roosters, that's why we have so many roosters, is they're really good at raising the alarms, and this is going to sound bad, but they also kind of serve as cannon fodder, right? They get chomped before the hens. So that's why we don't mind having extra roosters. It sounds bad, I know, but the hens are precious, and the roosters are more than willing to give their lives in their defense. So geese and roosters can raise the alarm, and your roosters may sacrifice themselves, not you, but the roosters may sacrifice themselves in favor of their hens. However, they are not a force field, okay? A determined hawk can and will take your biggest goose. You want animals that alert, yes, but you also need to provide cover and safety, okay? No matter how brave your roosters are, they're not going to fight off hawks indefinitely. Yeah, there's some fun internet videos where you see a hen driving off a hawk. It's not a permanent long-term solution. That hen is not going to be a permanent long-term solution. So, no, your roosters and your geese are not a permanent solution. And they won't protect the flock. They will alert. They will tell everyone, there's a hawk coming. You better run. But they can't protect. That's not what they do. So, let's talk about a real-world weekend plan to protect your birds. Quick weekend plan if you want to make a difference right away this weekend. Step one, cover your run. Even if it's just temporary with netting, cover it with something. If that's all you can do right now, that's what you do. Step two, put up some shelter spots in your yard so that your chickens can duck and cover when a shadow crosses overhead. Provide them the ability to hide. Okay? Step three, adjust your schedule. Lock them up earlier, supervise them when the hawks are active. Don't let them out without plenty of supervision while those birds are overhead. Step four, take down tall posts or branches that hawks are using to scout from, because that's what they do. They won't circle all day. They can't fly that long. They will perch themselves in a good vantage point so they can watch your birds. Take down those spots. If you have a post or a dead tree where they are sitting and surveying, cut it down. Okay? Step 5, train your flock to come when called. I know that sounds ridiculous, okay? Get them coming to snacks. You shake a snack bucket and everyone comes running and everyone gets snacks. Do that every day until they are reliably coming whenever you shake that coffee can or whatever you keep your snacks in for your chickens. Make sure it makes lots of noise so your birds can hear it and they will come running. Why does this matter? It makes it so much easier to lock them up if you need to lock somebody up. Okay? Lock them up, call them with your coffee can, get them put away. It really does happen because that way, if you spot a predator, you can get your birds under cover quickly. That matters. So let's answer it clearly, once and for all. Do black chickens keep hawks away? No. Do some people still believe it? Yes. Does it circulate in online Facebook groups? Yes. Do people argue about it in the comments because some people are so convinced that they will go to bat for this myth? Yes. Is there any truth to it? No. Just because your black birds have never been taken doesn't mean black birds are what is deterring hawks. Okay? It's something else. There's another reason your black hens haven't been eaten. Maybe the hawks aren't there. Maybe your black birds are always under shelter. Maybe you have livestock guardian dogs. It's not about the color of the bird. Okay? Hawks are not scared by your chicken's fashion choices. They don't care what color they're dressed in. They're scared of solid defenses, guardian animals, and lost opportunities. Color doesn't change the risk. Effective flock management does. So that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. What myths do you want me to tackle next? What topics do you see that people argue about in comment sections across the social media spectrum that you think would be a good fit for farm fights? Let me know in the comments below. And let everyone know what creative legal hawk deterrents you have that worked, or the ones that failed hilariously on your own farm. I would love to hear your stories, so drop those in the comments as well. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.